So the NFL Combine has officially come and gone, and free agency has started to slow down. So I thought it'd be a perfect time to drop yet another 7-round mock draft for our Las Vegas Raiders, and this time with some trades. But before we do get started, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across the channel and you love daily Raider content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. We are on the verge of 50,000 subscribers, so if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Now, like I said before, I know free agency has started to slow down right now, so we get a better picture of what the Raiders do need on the team right now, and it gives me a little bit of an idea of who I could go into this mock draft and select at every single round, or every single pick. So with that said, right off the bat, I'm making a trade in the first round, moving back with the Dallas Cowgirls. Dallas would receive the Raiders' 6th overall pick and end up selecting Ashton Jeanty. Now the Raiders in return will get the 12th overall pick, the number 44th overall pick in the 2nd round, and the 76th overall pick in the 3rd round, which I think is a solid deal for the Raiders. And even at number 12, we could still get a position of need. And surprisingly enough for the Raiders, Shedeur Sanders was sitting there pretty.
What?
And he fell down in our laps. And like I said in previous videos, if he's sitting there, I'm running up to the podium and I'm selecting him. So with the 12th overall pick, I have the Raiders selecting quarterback Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. I know that the Raiders have already addressed the quarterback position trading for Geno Smith, but why not add the quarterback of the future to that? And with so many reports coming out already that the Raiders still are eyeing a quarterback with the number 6th overall pick, or even getting one in the 1st round, especially if Shedeur Sanders is there. There's a lot of rumors going around that the Raiders are still high on Shedeur Sanders. So like I said, if he's still available at the pick, wherever the Raiders select in the 1st round, I think that's the pick, and that's the guy that you have to go out and get. Especially with all the buzz surrounding Geno Smith after posting that picture with Shedeur Sanders, there's been a lot of people talking about it, especially me, on the potential future quarterback room, how it could look like with Geno Smith and Shedeur Sanders. Now, with me trading back, we acquired more picks to help this team overall. So I think this would be a win-win move for the Raiders. Not only does the Raiders have the quarterback of the present, but we have the quarterback of the future. And honestly, I don't care what anybody else has to say about Shedeur. He's still my number 1 quarterback, and I still feel like he could be a really good quarterback in the NFL. Now, Shedeur has that elite accuracy and quick release that could definitely help him in the next level. And he also provides that dual threat ability, being a pocket passer, but also being able to move around in the pocket and even deliver accurate throws on the run. One thing that I really do love from Shedeur Sanders is his mental toughness. He has been able to show his ability to quickly read defenses and adjust his progression under pressure. Even when protected by a subpar offensive line, he's been able to be poised in the pocket and deliver strong numbers, proving that he can perform in high pressure situations. And on top of that, Shedeur Sanders over his career, his football career, has shown to be a natural leader, and I know a lot of people might be surprised by that, but Shedeur is coming from a famous football family, and being the son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, he has always had the pressure of having the spotlight on him. Especially with all the critics and doubt, Shedeur has not shied away from the constant pressure under the bright lights. You add that with coming to the entertainment capital of the world, it's the perfect pairing, especially as the future of the franchise. He's also stated it before in the pressers that he had at the Combine and even at the Shrine, that every single situation that he's been able to go to, he's been able to adjust and turn their franchises around, change the culture around. And knowing Pete Carroll coming over here to Las Vegas, that's one thing that he's trying to ingrain in Las Vegas, is turning this whole culture around and trying to bring a winning culture to the Las Vegas Raiders. And for a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders that has dealt with all of that and has overcome all that, especially all the odds that's been thrown against him, I think he'd do well over here in Las Vegas with all the spotlight on him. Now, with as much praise as I am giving Shedeur Sanders, he's not the perfect quarterback, and I understand that. And I know a lot of people are going to look at him and think that he's not going to do well, he's going to be a bust in the NFL, but I do believe that he is the most NFL ready and the most safest quarterback in this year's draft. Might not have the highest ceiling, but if you're looking for a guy that could go out there and just get the job done, he's your guy. Now, he does have limited arm strength and does not possess, that elite running ability that we see with Lamar Jackson and all these other quarterbacks. Not to mention, he does hold on to the ball a little bit too long, but a lot of those things can be coached up, and what better coach to coach him up than Pete Carroll, especially if he's coming over here to a QB room that is led by Geno Smith, a guy that is a stand-up guy. On top of that, you have the resources of having Tom Brady be a mentor, or just having that open line of communication. So with all that being said, I think the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, is just a perfect destination for Shedeur Sanders. My NFL pro comp for Shedeur Sanders would be Teddy Bridgewater. And the Teddy Bridgewater with the Vikings before all the injuries, because a lot of people forget how good he was before he did get injured. Now going into the second round with the 37th overall pick, I have the Raiders selecting, surprisingly still available, running back Omarion Hampton out of UNC. Now, of course, after week 1 of free agency, one of the biggest needs for the Raiders has been the running back position, which is why a lot of people want to go out and draft Ashton Jeanty in the first round. And as much as I would love Ashton Jeanty in the silver and black, the Raiders don't need to get him in the first round. We can wait and get any one of these running backs, whether it was Omarion Hampton or any of the Ohio State running backs, or heck, Cam Scatterbo or anybody else. But with the luck of the draw and the fact that he was still available at 37, I had to select Omarion Hampton, who I feel like would be a perfect running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. I know the Raiders recently added Raheem Mostert, but we have to add more depth and we have to find the running back one of the future. And I believe Omarion Hampton has all the skill sets to be that guy. Now, Hampton is a power back with a combination of toughness, vision, and production that could easily enhance the Raiders' run game. His physical style, complemented by a solid receiving ability, makes him a versatile three-down back and a great fit for an offense under Coach Pete Carroll. While he isn't the most elusive or explosive back in the draft, his consistent production and ability to gain yards after contact give him a high floor. Hampton has posted back-to-back 1,500-yard rushing seasons, playing at a high level against ACC competition, which to me is harder than playing in the Mountain West. I'm just saying. But Omarion Hampton, like I said, would be a great back in the silver and black, and I'm pretty sure the Raider Nation would agree with me on this. Now, my NFL Pro comp for Omarion Hampton is DeMarco Murray. Now, with the second pick that I have in the second round from the Cowboys, thank you very much. With the 44th overall selection, I have the Raiders selecting offensive lineman, offensive tackle, Jonah Savaiinea out of Arizona. Now, to be honest with you guys, the Raiders' offensive line wasn't actually that bad last season. Yes, there was a lot of hiccups here and there, some injuries, but I feel like the Raiders' offensive line are just a couple of pieces away from being a really solid offensive line going into this year's draft. And I know the Raiders recently went out and signed Alex Kappa, but that doesn't mean that the Raiders should shy away from adding more depth to the offensive line, especially on the right side. And for the Raiders in the second round, you can easily find some quality offensive linemen. And Jonah is one of those guys that I will love having on this team, not only because he is poly, but the fact that he provides a lot of depth, and not only that, versatility on the offensive line, especially primarily playing as a right tackle in Arizona. Now, he did play left guard, he played right guard and right tackle. So wherever the Raiders want to put him at, I think he could be a plug and play type of player. Whether you want to make him the right tackle of the team and just move DJ Glaze inside, or just put him inside of DJ Glaze and call it a day, I think the offensive line would be solid and we'd be good moving forward. Now, Jonah played 3 years as a starter at Arizona, primarily playing right tackle, but I can easily see him playing and excelling at right guard at the next level. He's a physical offensive lineman standing at 6'4", 324 pounds. Jonah has an ideal size and strength to anchor the offensive line. He's an exceptional run blocker with some upside in the passing game. Jonah does need to work on refining his footwork and hand usage against elite pass rushers, but under the right coaching, I believe he'll be all right. Savaiinea would improve the Raiders' offensive line depth immediately, and his ability to operate in both zone and power blocking schemes, it gives the Raiders a lot of flexibility and could be a solid starter for years to come. Now, my pro NFL comp for Jonah is, ironically, Talais Fuanga from the New Orleans Saints, who was just recently drafted last season. Now, moving on to the third round with the 68th overall pick, I have the Raiders selecting cornerback Darian Porter out of Iowa State. Now, Porter lit it up at the NFL Combine, an exceptional athlete, standing at 6'3", weighing at 195 pounds. Porter boasts impressive speed, having clocked a 4.3 40 at the NFL Combine. Now, he does provide a lot of versatility as a former wide receiver turned cornerback. Porter brings valuable offensive insight to his defensive play. His wide receiver experience enhances his ball tracking and interception ability, having 3 last season. On top of that, he has a wide range that can cover both in coverage or as a tackler in open space. He's also physical, coming off the edge against the run, effectively using his length to shed blocks and deliver strong tackles. And lastly, Porter also provides experience in special teams, which adds to his versatility in his career, blocking 3 punts. Now, I do believe that Porter is the perfect prototypical cornerback that fits in Pete Carroll's system, you know, with the size, athletic ability, versatility, and also a guy that just can do it all. And with his background with being a former wide receiver turned cornerback, reminds me so much of a guy like Richard Sherman, who Pete Carroll took in the draft just years ago, ending up becoming one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And looking at Darian Porter, he's a guy that could kind of replicate that. Now, I'm not going to say that he's going to be the next Richard Sherman, but there's a possibility that he could. Now, with that said, though, my pro comp for Darian Porter would ironically be cornerback Tariq Woolen. Now, with the other pick in the 3rd round, with the 76th overall pick, I have the Raiders selecting wide receiver Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Jalen Royals is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL and one of my favorite receivers to get in the middle rounds. I know I didn't address the wide receiver earlier on, as I wish I could, but addressing all the other needs right before getting a solid receiver like Jalen Royals, I think would be a good value for the Raiders. Now, Royals' season did end early with a foot injury, but he made a huge comeback at the NFL Combine, running a blazing 4.42, which is really impressive, especially knowing that he wasn't at 100%. Now, Royals does provide some good size at the wide receiver position, standing at 6 foot, 205 pounds, and last season, he was able to record 55 receptions, 834 yards, and 6 touchdowns in only 7 games, which is crazy. And he also had his best game against the best team in the Mountain West, Boise State. Royals does provide some great speed and agility for the Raiders at the wide receiver position. He also has the ability to convert short receptions into big plays, which is a great weapon for any quarterback, and kind of reminds me of what Amari Cooper was able to do with us when he was a Raider. Take those little dump plays and just take it to the house. Those are those explosive type of plays that we can use here in Las Vegas. So to get a guy like Jalen Royals here in the 3rd round and just plug him into Chip Kelly's system and having Geno Smith as your quarterback, I think this would be a perfect pairing for him in the NFL. And my pro comparison for Jalen Royals would be Jaden Reed out of Green Bay. Now, moving on to the 4th round with the 108th overall pick, I have the Raiders addressing the secondary, selecting safety Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma. Now, Bowman is one of the most versatile safeties in the draft. He's able to play multiple positions in the secondary with a high IQ. Now, Bowman is a physical ball hawking safety with the instincts to track the ball and create turnovers. Also, after running a 4.43 40, he provides some speed as well. His fluid movement and quick reaction enables him to cover ground effectively, making him a valuable asset in pass coverage and run support. Now, one of the biggest knocks on Billy Bowman is his size, standing at 5'10", weighing 190 pounds, and is considered undersized in the NFL as a safety. But when you actually watch his tape, he plays bigger than his size. Kind of reminds me a lot of Amik Robertson. You know, he didn't let his size kind of contradict how he played in the NFL, so he went out there and proved what he could do. Bowman's upside is really high, and I believe playing in Pete Carroll's system and playing under Patrick Graham, they can bring the most out of him, and I feel like he could be a really valuable piece on the defense side of the ball, especially in the secondary for a team like the Raiders who need a lot of depth at the position. So Billy Bowman, definitely one of my favorite safeties in this year's draft. For me, my NFL comp for Billy Bowman easily is Tyrann Mathieu. A small defender that just can play everywhere, is versatile, and can be a ball hawking safety at the next level. Now, originally, the Raiders only had one 4th round pick in this year's draft, but I made another trade. I moved up into the 4th round. Now, here's the trade details that I had. The Raiders will be trading up to receive the 130th overall pick in the 4th round to the Detroit Lions. And we would be giving up the 143rd overall pick in the 5th round, the 213th pick in the 6th round, and the 215th pick in the 6th round. So that's 1 5th round pick and 2 6th round picks to move up just a couple of spots for pick 130. Now, with that pick in the 4th round, I have the Raiders selecting linebacker Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma. Yes, another Oklahoma product coming to Las Vegas. Now, Danny is a 3-year starter at Oklahoma, and in those 3 years, he's been able to record over 100 tackles in every one of those seasons, becoming a tackling machine. And Danny is definitely a traditional linebacker, a linebacker that I would love to have in the silver and black. And knowing that the Raiders do need or have a need at the linebacker position, especially with Robert Spillane going to New England, the Raiders can use as much depth as they can in the linebacker room. And Danny, I feel like, would be a perfect linebacker to fill in. Now, he does provide athleticism and speed. Standing at 6'3", 233 pounds, Stutzman ran an impressive 4.52 40 at the NFL Combine, especially for his size. Like I said, is impressive. On top of that, he does provide versatility, which is, I would say, the theme with all the players that I'm going to be selecting in this year's draft. But he's a true middle linebacker that can play both inside and outside. And to add on to that, he does have a high football IQ and is solid against the run and in coverage. He does bring that high motor and flies around the field. But like I said before, Stutzman would provide some much needed help in the linebacker room. And for me, he's one of my favorite linebackers, especially in day 3, which is why I traded up to get him. He was still available, and I was like, fuck it, let's send 3 picks to Detroit and let's go get our linebacker of the future. Plus, it would be nice to see Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman reunite here in Las Vegas. Now, my pro NFL comp for Danny Stutzman would be Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson. Moving on to the 6th round in the NFL draft with the 180th overall pick, I have the Raiders selecting offensive lineman and center Jonah Monheim out of USC. Now, Monheim is a big dog, standing at 6'4", 311 pounds, one of USC's best offensive linemen. And just like everybody else, he is also versatile, playing center, but can also play tackle and guard if you really need him to. And even for his big size and stature, he is athletic and does provide a bit of speed, running a 5 40 at the NFL Combine. Now, Monheim does provide that short area quickness, has that high football IQ, and is known for his run blocking, which can help out in the run game, especially knowing this team needs a lot of help with the run and could use as much help as they can get on the offensive line. I think this would be a solid pick for the Raiders. Though he may be inconsistent in the pass game and could play a bit high, I wouldn't be too worried about him in the next level. Now, I know that I already selected another Jonah earlier on in the draft, but it doesn't hurt to add more depth to the offensive line. My pro comparison for Jonah Monheim would be Pat Elflein out of Minnesota. And for the last pick in my Raiders 7-round mock draft with the 222nd overall pick in the 7th round, I have the Raiders selecting wide receiver Kobe Hudson out of UCF. Now, Hudson has been a productive receiver at UCF, also providing versatility. He's a really solid route runner that can run the complete route tree and has above average ball skills and is a solid pass catcher. Though he can be inconsistent with his hands and lack elite speed, I thought, what the heck, why not add more receiver depth to the team? Kobe would have to earn his reps with the team, but there is potential there, and at worst, he'd be a special teams player for this team. Now, my pro comparison for Kobe Hudson, ironically, is his former running mate Javon Baker out of New England. So with that said, though, Raider Nation, that is my complete 7-round post free agency, post combine mock draft for our Las Vegas Raiders. I took a lot of time to put this video together, especially with the trades and all the graphics. So if you guys can do the US a big favor, just hit that like button. It only takes a couple of seconds. It helps the channel a lot. And if you guys haven't subscribed already, man, hit that subscribe button, man. What grade would you guys give my mock draft? I know a lot of people might not agree with a lot of things that I have to say, but these are just my opinions, and I know everybody has their own opinions. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, drop the grades down in the comments below. Who would you guys select with the 1st overall pick for the Raiders? Until the next one, this is your boy Samoa Raider, and your boy is Yow.